Are y'all checking this? Well, yeah. One of the night shifts is.
What we need is just give me access to the cameras. I'll just look at the cameras.
We're gonna do that.
I'm working on it.
No, nobody's in there.
You can't
Put 'em in the
you
bathroom.
can't put them in the bathroom.
Why? They don't have doors on them. But they got doors to go in. They just ain't got doors once you get in there.
Women's do.
I haven't been.
Stand with me for a prayer. We'll do the pledge of the flag.
Is that what you're supposed to
Dear
do?
Lord, we thank you for allowing us to gather here this evening. We're grateful that you allowed us the time away from our families. We ask that you bless our families that we leave at home. We ask that you watch over the city, watch over our decisions, that our decisions carry for years to come and benefit many in front of us. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a few changes to the agenda. You guys will help me out. As the new number 9, I would like to add this for Hazel, the bore for the sewer line. Under number 11, I would like to continue with the letters and add the storm drain, add the basketball court, add the swings, add the HVAC.
GHI.
Yes, sir.
Is that wall to prevent water from the gym incorporated in that?
Yes, sir. And then new number 13 is a DDA resignation. New number 14 is account signers for the park. For the checking account. Did I miss anything? Right, we'll consider a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
Make that motion.
Thank you, sir. Second? Thank you. All those in favor to modify the agenda? All right, we'll move on to appearance and public comment. Anyone here to speak this evening? Very good.
It's about the park.
Okay.
I've been using my supply of poop bags woven around the signs and anything else. And still, people are not, who have very large dogs, are the ones who don't seem to be picking up the poop
Which part are you?
behind Balker.
Okay.
So I'm asking for the city to entertain putting the official poop bag with the dispenser on it, like they have in Clarksville. I went to Clarksville City Hall and talked to them about that, where they got it.
Okay.
And we need more than one, is a large area.
This is what Clarksville has.
That is what Clarksville has,
She
yes.
brought this to me.
Straight on Amazon.
Straight on Amazon.
$224.
Each. But look, you get free bags.
It's like the guy on the commercial, look, free bags.
Look how many free bags.
It is a problem. I brought my little boy up there the other day to hit some baseballs, and he's done been 2 miles before.
Let me show you what else we have now.
Could we please put one of those at the end of Soesby?
So, so these were ordered already, and they came in yesterday.
Very good.
I actually did confront a guy who takes 3 very large dogs there, and I was nice and said, I don't ever see you here with your own poop bags. Do you pick your dog's poop
at, place in Tacoma the other day to get something. This guy got out of the car with this big old dog. He used the bathroom and he pulled out something out of his pocket. I'm like, oh, he's gonna pick it up. Oh no, he just wiped his behind and threw it on the ground. Oh, the society we live in.
Well, I guess he doesn't want to put it back in his car with, not cleaning his backside.
On that same note, would it be possible to put a note in the water bill or the garbage bill or something that, for all the people that walk their dogs, I mean, I've got dogs, I walk mine, but I also carry baggies with me. But anybody that walks their dogs in the neighborhoods or anywhere, it's very upsetting to walk out your back door and go down your driveway, and we have a gravel drive, and step in poop.
Yeah, Mark, we take care of.
Thank you very much.
In reference to the park, is it gated anywhere, fenced, or is it just open?
No, it's the
Fenced, 100% fenced.
Okay,
all
so
around with
wherever you
gates.
can go through the gate,
There's one.
a sign, and one of those
There's
dispensers
two
needs to be there.
signs and a garbage can there, and that's where I've been putting Little Green food back for weeks and weeks.
Months.
Months,
Okay.
okay.
Well,
Many
all right.
hundreds.
Thank you.
give me an extra sign made up to go on a baseball bat for those who disobey.
Well, I wanted to get the DNA off the dog food and find whose it is.
I don't think they keep the.
Oh, boy. Thank you for your comments.
So I have a question.
Sir.
The outdoor classroom area behind the whole parking spot, do we own that area as well?
We do, yeah.
What if we made that a dog park? That little area with that little classroom? Is anyone using that area?
Pretty broad. It probably looks like it was a Boy Scout project. That's what it makes me think it was.
Yes.
What if we looked into converting that little area into a dog park?
Well, you know what's true, my experience with the dog park, it's a poop park.
And
I don't see
that's
anybody
right.
going over there to really play. I played
No.
with my dog with a ball,
Right.
and I see one other couple who goes and throws the ball for their dog.
Mhm.
Everybody else is taking their dogs over there to go to the bathroom. It's not a dog
I
park.
mean, it's a ball field, and.
Well, it's got
I
swing
like-
set, it's got the basketball
That's
court,
right.
it's got the ball field.
Things that
there's
entice
plenty of
kids
room.
into the area.
And there's
So-
plenty of room for all of it.
Instead of fighting you, that's what we look at the creating a little dog park. And the area is not being utilized.
Well, there's a lot of areas, and I think that we definitely need to have some conversations about what the city wants and what's best for things, so it's a great topic that we need to continue.
I don't throw the ball for my dog, he makes me go get it.
Any other public comments? All right. Let's move on to approval of the minutes for April 17th and May the 2nd. These come out a couple of weeks ago in your email. If you've had a chance to review them and feel inclined, please make a motion to approve those.
Very good. Couple minutes to review.
You take your time, please make a motion after you've taken a look.
We're still being entertained by the last topic. Let's start snorting.
He's not here.
I'll
He
verify
couldn't
that.
make it. I've got the PO for it, so it's
Oh.
ordered.
That's good enough. I make a motion to approve the minutes of April 17th and May 2nd.
Thank you, sir. A second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor to approve the April 17th and May 2nd? Thank you. Alright, so let's move on to ratify the termination of the HMC contract, the hospital contract. That's for the, what are they terminating, Mark?
We had a annual agreement with the hospital, with our police department, and, working like security there with our police force, and they were paying us, a little over $9,300 a month. And with everything going on with the hospital and everything, as a suggestion to save money, as I passed back in May, they feel like they would like to stop this option and bring on their own security out of their Gainesville hospital. And they agreed, so we worked one more week into May, which was May 6th, and they took over from that time forward, because the contract would have been terminated July 1st. And so we were able to help the hospital save some money right there.
Very good.
So that's what this is about.
Do we need to vote to ratify this
Yes.
contract?
Yes. Ratify the termination of the contract.
Okay. Entertain a motion to ratify the termination of the contract.
I'll make a motion to ratify the termination of the HMC contract.
A second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor to terminate this contract? Very good. Consideration of the hospital items such as the parking study and the contract. We talked about this during the work session. I believe it's, your advice that we table that until next week.
Table it and then amend the agenda for the special call meeting for June 13 and add these items to that agenda.
Very good.
I don't have to change the notice or
You
anything.
don't have to change the
Okay.
notice. You'll need to let the press know. that
Just
you
let
amended
them know.
the agenda.
Okay.
Thomas, do we need to vote on the parking plan? Is that?
The only thing that's really outstanding is the assignment of the water tower leads. The other things are fine. You all can vote on that if you want to, but I thought you wanted to do the whole thing. Yes, you can vote on the parking plan if you want to.
Council, what's your decision?
I'm gonna vote on it all at one time.
Okay. Okay, very good. We need a motion to table.
I'll make a motion to table.
Thank you, sir. Second to table.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor to table? Very good. Thank you. Do you need anything else from us?
No, see y'all next week.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Kywell.
Next is the consideration for the LMIG bids. We received our annual grant from LMIG of $37,000. You come back with two bids in front of us, one high bid of $89,998.20, and the lowest bid come in at $68,715. This would do an overlay of Cross Street. This would mill and overlay Arlington. This would mill and overlay Ohio Street, and mill and overlay areas of Double Springs. Which again, that low bid comes to $68,715. From that remaining balance, we do have SPOS money that we can use to fund that shortfall. Council will entertain a motion to accept one of the two bids or vote it down. We'll entertain a motion to accept the low bid from Precision Paving.
Brian vouched for them. I'll make the motion for the, bid from, Precision Paving for $68,715, for the paving of these streets.
I will point out, has a start date of July and a finish no later than August 31st.
Question.
Sir?
So the Double Springs, we talked about the area that we're working on, we're using roots from trees, right?
And
And Ohio's the same? How long has it been since then? When Double Springs was repaired last time, how long has it been?
15 years.
And I'm curious, the only reason why is I know is if they're going up with traffic and college students and what would it cost to flag them before we spend that kind of money just to prepare this? You know what I mean? I mean, if we're gonna do it, why don't we just address it all at one time?
That's a fair question.
It is a fair question. When do we have to have this LMIG accepted and approved to qualify for the LMIG funds?
We would be fine.
We've already received them.
We have already received them?
Yes, so just, I believe the project has to be done, it has to be completed before August, or the end of the year maybe.
Okay.
Brian just put it at August.
Right.
We can wait and put this on next week's and put that out. We still have a little splosh money, to look at widening that, but just to resurface it where it's at now is what, $49,000?
Yeah.
So you can imagine what it's gonna cost to add a couple feet to it.
Why don't we just have road off and you think that'd be okay with the three? Cross Street, Ohio, and just approving that, and go with those three moving forward.
No, I think that it would encompass them bringing their equipment up here for the whole project. I would imagine that they would all cart that.
I'm just asking. You know, 'cause I know it's been a concern, and we still have the property there on our business every year. You know, and, but I'm just, okay. I'm serious.
We'll make the motion to see fit. You'd like to table it or move through and pass it? Did we have a motion to approve that?
We did.
Very good. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Well, all those in favor to approve? Or would y'all like to move and table? Okay, very good.
I'll vote to approve.
Okay, very
I'm
good.
gonna check on that,
Okay.
just so that,
And even if it's something that you check on and email out, we can modify it next week if need be, okay?
yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right, very good. Let's move on to bids for Hazel Street. This is the sewer bore to run underneath 365 that we've been talking about for the past 10 years. This one is a SPLOST project that we had looked at years ago. I'm sorry, I said 365. What?
This is Hazel Street,
Hazel Street.
the bridge.
The bridge.
Yes.
Oh, man.
We've been talking about it so long, you've just forgotten, dear.
Sorry.
This is the bid, it just came out on June 1st.
A sewer. For when they're replacing that bridge.
Correct.
Okay. So this one is mandatory where we have to go in and do this because of the DOT relocation. And that low bid comes in at $483,000. We'll entertain a motion to accept that low bid of $483,000 to move forward with that project so the DOT can relocate the bridge.
Make a motion to accept the bid from Higgins Construction Company for $483,715.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Very good. Yeah. All right, next is the Historic Preservation Committee. Does anyone have any applications for the Historic Preservation Committee in your hands to present? Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion to take it.
The archaeologists and the audience.
I'll make a motion to table that.
All right. Second. All those in favor to table?
See if we can get Indiana Jones here next week.
It does say or related professions. There's a catch-all.
All right. Next, we'll move to the cemetery project. As we all know, having an updated map of our cemetery, so we're not selling off lots to other folks is important. So we do have a bid in front of us of $5,450 to get an updated map of our cemetery. Council, would y'all like to approve this bid to go ahead and contract this out with Georgia Mountain Regional?
I think this is important that we do. We don't want to get in the situation that we had, which could be compounded in the future, that we need to bring this up to date and up to date with technology, so we know what we've got, and we know how much capacity in the cemetery is remaining. So I make a motion to accept this proposal for the cemetery update.
Thank you, sir. A second to accept this proposal?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor to accept the proposal to redo the cemetery? All right, very good, thank you. All right. Next is the good one, Mark. So starting at the top, we're gonna run through this list as far as consideration for quotes for the new city hall. And these we're looking at using, when we purchased the building, we got a construction loan to redo the roof, do a few things to the building. This loan still has money left on it, in the amount of how much money?
$191,500.
At a very low interest rate, and we can go through and talk about utilizing some of those funds now. You wanna start at the top at carpet, Mark?
Just a question before we get into this, are we gonna be voting to authorize each one, or the ones that are above your spending limit, or what?
I think that we need to vote to authorize all of them, not depending on the spending limit, but if the council doesn't have any questions over each one, I think we need to group approve it.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right. Megan, if you could showcase the wood carpet tile that we have there. It's very slippery on the floor, and I didn't want somebody to walk on it and step on it, because you would definitely go flying.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. What I'm recommending here is from Northeast Georgia Carpet. This is called, what we normally have used is the 12-foot rolls that roll all the way down, and then you have these joints, they try to mesh together, and over time, those joints come apart and threads pull. This now is the size of the carpet tiles that they put down. You can pull up one tile if there's a problem. This tile is projected to last 20 years for our use. This same company installed this type carpet in one of the local universities, and they put it in their dorm rooms, and it lasted for 10 years with everyday traffic on it as opposed to limited traffic that we'll have on this. This price here is not, it's not the cheapest and it's not the highest. It's $15,775. And this would be for material and labor of tearing out the old carpet and doing repairs subject to normal wear and tear of what they have to pull up to get that other carpet off that concrete slab. So the thickness, the moisture barrier are all highly recommended on this piece. And very much with the acoustic when we talk about the audio sound. Because nobody recommended the vinyl plank tiles, ceramic tile, or hardwood because of the noise in that building.
Echo chamber.
Yep. So that's my recommendation for Northeast Georgia. Yes, ACG on the fire additions. Basically, we are doing the same type of fire protection in the auditorium and right outside where the church had finished that space, just like we did in City Hall, where it's got the sirens and strobe lights and the horns and things of this sort. So the material and labor of this one is $8,219.55. The next item is for the same thing with ACG, the facility cameras, not for streaming or anything, but just the security cameras like we have in the existing. And the total quote on this one, the material and labor, is $5,214.42. The next quote will be for the audio and the video. It's a two-part partnership with CCS and Coop Tech. Jeremy, but Jeremy lives here in Demorest and is local, and he has partnered with this company before. But this is the technology for streaming the meetings with 4 different platforms. It is the speakers, it is the soundboards, it is technology for microphones that will hang from the ceiling that you can sit right back there and these microphones will pick up your sound. This is for 88-inch TVs on both sides of the room, where we will have the technology to be able to show y'all all the meat and potatoes that's in these booklets. Where all that can be shown and you can see that. Because again, we killed a lot of trees today, Megan, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
So, it's a lot of money, but it also has, we utilize these microphones, every setup just like this. And
We're bringing these with us.
yes, yes.
So this price is gonna include us,
Having this set up,
actually using this exact microphone.
correct.
Okay.
It's priced, they come over here and looked at everything and approved everything that we have in that closet right there.
Okay.
To better utilize it. We're also gonna have the technology sitting there so that when we do decide to go to laptops, the technology will be there for mayor and council to have laptops. So we're putting in 1 streaming camera at this time. There's a price for 2, but we will pre-wire for these other items as we want different things. It'll be a much better quality for folks who are watching from home. And again, the total price on this one is a lot of pages here.
Something, I believe.
51,000.
Is the other council chamber where we'll be future holding meetings, size-wise, how much bigger?
Oh, I've got set up in there right now 40 chairs, and I could have 150 chairs.
So it's a much bigger room?
Yes,
So
wider and longer.
So
And
although we can hear you clearly here, in the future, those microphones will be necessary.
it could be,
to reach
because
the
again,
back.
you're gonna have such tall ceilings in there, and we won't be competing with these columns. It's gonna be a fantastic place, and it also will allow for additional revenue sources for the city to lease out these facilities to meeting space, chamber events, different things that we might even could host some events.
Additional income producing.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
So that total is 51,000. Yeah. I'm sorry, there's two components to this, but it is. I apologize for this, $51,597 for the audio visual section. Basically, it's preparing us for the future of that facility, and it will, technology will be there to continue to use that space. All right, let's go back. One of the items we're having issue with is some runoff. This is the picture of the wall in between the gym
We'll do light,
and the
light.
school.
You gonna do lighting?
I'm sorry, did what now?
Lighting was next.
Oh, what was that? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Yes. There was my phone up there. All right, the lighting. We have 15 drop-down lights that are there that are very, puts out shadow, they shine straight down. We've got a quote from City Plumbing for the lighting that will take 10 lighting fixtures in there for $1,330. And then my quote to put in the lighting in the auditorium, being labor, is $4,100. And then there's a second quote to replace all the fluorescent lighting in City Hall. That's actually just in our office of City Hall. There's 32 of those, and there's some others in the hallway, in the bathrooms too, because those lights stay on 24/7. And the quote for those is $1,900 and 31 cents, $1,931. And the quote for the labor of that part is $4,000. So both of them have a two-part, material and a labor portion of that.
Said 1931.19?
Yes,
Okay.
Are they going to LED?
yes. And it's going to save probably 75% of our Georgia Power billing off of those savings with that, and it will change the lighting in the office and be more of a consistent basis. All right. That was the last one. So going back to the wall. Yes. No, don't say wall. Let's go back to water runoff at the school. Again, sorry about that, we're getting off track, but this is the red cinder block wall between the gym and that other end of the building, where this is all deteriorated and sloping the wrong way and washing out. It is letting water underneath the metal into the gym. We experienced it for the first time at the yard sale. We've had it a couple other times since then. In order to do this, Brian has devised a plan, and the material only is $11,458.60. In order to preserve the asphalt basketball court, is to seal it and have the lines painted back on it like a basketball court would have, is $3,000. And this is the same company that did our parking lot. And the existing swing frame that has been there at the school is in perfect condition. And we're going to add 6 regular swings and 4 toddler swings at a price of $893.60. All right, almost done. Now, we did not come to a consensus on the heating and air system in each of the classrooms. We've got 2 bids here to consider. And what we're talking about now, the temperature inside the school building itself is getting very warm. And the classroom doors have been closed, and 6 have been open, not very attractive when you look down the hall with all the doors open like it is when they're closed. But we're very concerned about humidity, mildew, anything of any issues inside those classrooms. So we had 3 different bids, and basically we have what's called a split system, which is like that goes up on the wall, and it blows with no vents, just straight out into a large room, and it has a smaller unit, about this tall, about this 10 inches wide, that goes on the outside. And the low bid on this is from Chattahoochee Comfort, and it was $57,900. That is the low bid out of these 3 bids for this system. Again, you would want ductwork if we come in there to petition off walls inside the classrooms for office space, like we did in City Hall. We're about this far from the ceiling of the drop ceiling, but it still has the vents to get air in those other offices that we petitioned off. So if you get something like that, you could need the ductwork. So I recommend at this time that we do without the ductwork and just have a split system. And again, it's a 2-part bid on this one. The first one would be the 3 units of the 2-ton at $21,600, and then the other 11 mini split options at $36,300. And all that of what was recommended right here came up to a grand total of $107,521. I'm sorry, let me back that up. That is not correct. It all adds up, just the items, let's just go back. The total of all these items, outside, inside, and the heating and air, is $165,419.86, which leaves us $26,080 left over on our line of credit, because we will have to also, when we tear out the existing air conditioning units that were taking up window space, we have to put a window back in there, and the electrician has to do additional electrical work to hook these systems up.
Not much, so we shouldn't be able to do that.
Correct, so we roughly have $26,000 left still remaining. I know this is a lot of money, but for the last 2 months, this is what I've been working toward, getting to this meeting with all these items and all these different bids and understanding what's included in the bids. I think what we're about to do is since December when we started, we will have created a new city hall, the water department. We will have created the auditorium for our new municipal building and courtroom. We have opened the gym for everyday use 7 days a week. We will have fixed some retaining walls and some storm drain issues, and we'll have opened up our second park with the ball field, the playground, and the equipment there with the with the swings and with the basketball there. I think we're getting a lot of things for our money, and again, it makes me nervous spending $165,000 too, but I promise you, I've done my homework.
And I'll remind council that when we prepared the budget for last year and looked at our numbers, we were preparing for that full payment with that loan. So we knew going into this year where we were going to be with that loan, the loan payment, and we have it ready to utilize. Whether we utilize it on this or utilize it on the outside of the building, it needs to be utilized on the building or we put it back as a credit. I do think this is a great first step in getting everybody in that building that we've talked about and pushed for, and this will be a big step. If we've seen things go up in price, this is where it's at now, and otherwise it's gonna keep going up. Yes, ma'am.
Is the police department being moved into there and included in all that?
No, ma'am. So that's something for the future that we'll work towards in the future.
Okay.
But they will be moved up there, just not yet.
First steps, last steps.
Okay.
I have one comment. The swing invoice does not include shipping, so it could be a little bit different.
Okay. Thank you.
That will change.
$40 off.
We're good.
Where's
Thank
it
you
come?
for keeping us straight.
Where's it
We don't
coming
wanna
from?
spend the wrong
So
amount.
all this money?
No, all the, swing stuff she's talking
Oh,
about.
I don't know, some website.
Yeah, it's on the website.
Council, would y'all like to talk about each bid? Would you like to approve each bid as we discussed in work session and suggested by city staff? We're at your pleasure, please make your motion.
I would like to find a way for us to be able to just incorporate this into a motion to give Mark, you know, the authority to make these decisions that we talked about today based on price, based on quality of work, and, recommendations.
Would you like to make a motion to approve the
Package?
allocated package of $165,419.86?
Oh, the 419, I wrote down 1,400.
That was Mark's math.
It'll come out.
Don't tell
It will not be
he
okay.
can't add that.
That was 459.
Alright, so I'll do a motion.
I'm just saying, it won't be okay.
Yes.
There was one quote, was it, Mountain Air?
Yes.
They included welds, recycling, taking the old units. Now, did they mention this?
He's charging, that's a good question right there. He's charging $1,600 to remove that, so I really would have to up that $1,600.
And I think that you can probably negotiate, define the recycling.
Yes.
and something.
Yes. That's a good question, thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, I'm just curious, so that could be.
Yeah. So it's,
all those.
yeah, it was just on a separate sheet right here,
Okay, okay.
where the other one
Right.
had it for free. But yes, we will check into that with, Terry.
I'd like to make a motion that we, as I was saying earlier, kind of lump all of this together, the 165, 419, quoted amount for all of the things that we discussed, and to give Mark the authority to work within that budget.
Thank you both. All those in favor to approve that as stated? Very good. I look forward to moving that building along.
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all for your hard work.
And plant more trees.
Just not in the road, because mess up.
Let's move on to the, DDA. We received a letter from the DDA that Lawrence Bridges has resigned, turned his resignation, and we need to accept that resignation, is that correct? So we'll entertain a motion to accept that resignation that's put to us and accepted by the DDA.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Lawrence Bridges, from DBA.
A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor to accept this resignation for Lawrence Bridges? Very good.
Maybe would you like to, talk about the reasons why?
Well, Lawrence did sell his business and moved out of the city, so Lawrence no longer qualifies to be on the DDA. But we do appreciate his service and work for the city for all the years, so we really do appreciate Lawrence.
Any information on what may be coming to that location?
I don't think that, that I need to make that announcement, I think that they need to make that announcement, we'll save that for them.
Okay. But I will add some of that under my report though, where we are. We'll
Okay.
say names.
Right, move on to account signer. Mark, Megan, define a little bit on this, we need to redefine the account signers for the park treasure
Yeah.
account.
So Donnie's no longer on the park. and that really, I guess, hasn't been announced yet because there'll be a park meeting tomorrow. So we need to reassign an accounts, signer. So I was asking for Mark, if y'all are okay with that, and of course, John had said he thought that was a great idea, so.
So motion would be to remove
Move Don.
money from the account and add Mark
Mark.
to the account.
Correct.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, sir. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Yeah, very good. All right, move on to the manager's report and the financials.
Kinda wore out after all the other things before I get to this part, I'm twice of that, so.
Drink some water.
Yeah, yeah. First of all, I do want to make another announcement. Megan Chastain was selected to be in the leadership Havisham class.
Thank you.
And so, we got that, and, we signed checks for that, to pay for that. And, I had hoped for Cade to be able to do that too, but he had some conflicts, because there's like 8 classes you have to be able to attend. And so we're hoping with him taking his other classes, he will be able to do that. But it's a tremendous honor for her to meet and see these other departments and go around and be a part of that. So I would encourage folks to look for something like that. Another issue at the park, the Demorest Park there, we've had to close the slide. Somebody took to some vandalism. It appears they stomped their boot heel through the green in the middle slide. And unfortunately, we didn't know about it, and a young lady took her granddaughter and it cut her back of her leg up. And we immediately sent the police over there. I think you went. You go, yeah. And to shut it down, tape it off until Brian and his guys could deal with it. And I think that slide had been installed in 2008, because I think there was a grant from Community Bank and Trust, so they had to still be around when that was done. Yeah. And so we were able to find the manufacturer still. They're still in business. And so we took pictures of everything and sent them to her. And it's a company that represents this manufacturer out of Flowery Branch. And but the worst part is, she emailed me back and said, the slide will ship date on 9/13/23. And I said, please tell me you meant 6/13/23. Unfortunately not. With this fiberglass packages, they pour so often and do so many of these, it's not scheduled to be poured and made until the middle of September. So we do have it secured, but it's not going to be fixed for July 4th or anytime sooner than that. I do have a note on there about vandals, and I did add a note about the shipping date, so somebody didn't think we just weren't fixing that slide.
Wish we had a camera.
Yeah, I was gonna
catching
say
it.
that's probably something we need to consider in the future, cameras for the park, for safety, not just vandalism there, and for the ball field as well.
Well, and to go along with that, I've already put that on ACG and sent our plans to ACG on the bathrooms, because they can pull right off of the police station from their cameras and so forth, and try to figure something around that. So that's well in place as we get to that. So that has been added. I had talked a couple months, maybe back in April, about our past due property tax list, and we sent another letter out. And so I'm getting with Rhonda tomorrow to get the updated list of these past due taxpayers. And then Thomas will be getting with you so we can proceed this with the next section. I'll send y'all that list like I've done before. And, let's see here, the basketball gym at City Hall, it is open, it's ready to go. The bathrooms have been refurbished. And, our police officers are so kind to open the gym at 9 a.m. in the morning and close it at 9 p.m. We're working with ACG to be able to get the security cameras, to be able to go to their telephones so they can monitor daily use. They also will go in there to that. So that is they'll be open every day, whether City Hall is open, weekends or holiday. Police are working, the gym will be open. So, We also, I had mentioned to council a month or so ago about naming our Grand Marshal for our glorious 4th of July parade. And I had suggested President Marshall Chrysler and his wife Kimberly Chrysler to be our Grand Marshal. They have agreed, and we'll be working toward that date of July 4th for that. Again, the parade's gonna start at 4. We're gonna have a children's parade that starts first. Decorate their bicycles, a golf cart, a wagon, whatever they wanna do, whatever they want. So we really wanna build that up. And is that something y'all started last year?
Yeah, last year.
So we actually have a trophy for a best selection, and I don't know how we'll work through that. But, and then the rest of the parade will start after the children's parade. So, again, we're less than 30 days away. And so the setups, Megan, will start around 2, is that correct? For the vendors and the food trucks and different things.
Yes, we'll block the road off
And then
around
the
lunch.
parade, and then
for
the
them to
music with
start.
Fly Betty Band will start around 6 and play till 9. And then we'll move up to the ball field for the fireworks. And another thing that President Chrysler announced is the campus will be open to the public, where it's been limited in times past. And for parking, walking, picnicking, whatever you might want to do. And so that will be another great asset that's coming.
I just hope all the people clean up after themselves, so this can be an ongoing thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. We do have our Georgia Municipal Association conference meeting in Savannah, starting on the 22nd through the 27th. And Sean will be attending, Megan will be attending, and I will be attending. Thomas will be there too. And it is multiple classes that you can take to continue your continuing ed through Georgia Municipal Association. I was lucky enough for GMA to give me back my 114 hours from my previous time with the City of Gainesville, credits of those. So I've received 2 designations. After these classes, I'll get the 3rd designation from that. So
Congratulations.
they actually had to go find them in a box. From 2006, in a box.
They did download those to a database.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. One last thing before going into the other information here is, like Jerry said, there is another business that's coming into that bought his tap room and the coffee house there. And so we're going through the process of getting these folks getting fingerprinted, new forms, and all these things coming forward. And Thomas will probably have a question or two, because they're hoping to open up. Obviously, the legal alcohol won't be ready, but they're hoping to open up by June 17th. They told Megan today, so we'll have to work through our timing from the alcohol approval side of it.
Are we talking about liquor by the drink, beer, wine, what?
Whatever it is that they might want to do. If they're gonna just do the beer and wine like Lawrence did, or liquor, I don't know what they've applied for from that side.
Is it just gonna be a bar?
No, it's gonna be both, just like it was set up before. I think they're rearranging, decorating, since they blocked off the windows with the paper, just so they had their things to do. So all that will be coming.
That's not the nature of the business that's
Correct.
coming in. That's not their main focus. Their
Correct.
coffee.
Their coffee. So, all right, going into the water report. To get this report from Brian, and it gives me the total of water from Baldwin, Toccoa, and the 2 wells that we have. But Baldwin is normally not filled out on my sheet, so I finally called Brian today and said, why is that? He said, well, I don't get the report till around the 10th of the month. But these are the totals of water that we produced or purchased for the month of April. 38 billion gallons came from Baldwin. 6,153,000,000 gallons came from Toccoa. Our Grissom well produced 7,750,000 gallons. Our Mize well produced 4,526,000,000 gallons.
school, the university on that?
It's everything that we sell.
But their consumption will be done.
Well, those will go down, yes.
Yeah, okay, good. There's some
Yeah.
offset anyway.
But Baldwin, Brian was telling me, will go up, it could hit 50 million
Mhm.
gallons.
Got a lot of thirsty people.
Yep, yep. So that's purchased and produced from those wells. And the Grissom well only runs for 4 hours a day, they can produce 7.5 million gallons. And the Mize well runs 12 hours. So that was those numbers jumped out. Emergency locates, they had to do 5. A standard locate with notice was 220. Brian's area had 232 work orders. They worked and found 12 leaks, set 11 new meters. They had 12 emergency 911 calls where somebody is calling about some emergency with their water and sewer. And they picked up from 101 yards of limb and debris in this 30 days. And he had some special projects. He had 24 hours where he had to do some extra things on different things there. And again, we're using April even though we're in the month of June, because that's the way the timing comes in with this material. For our police department, Chief is a little small, but it's tight there. Officers responded to a total of 243 calls in April of 23. Officers responded to 10 domestic violence calls with 5 physical calls and 5 verbal calls. Officers responded to 4 disturbance calls at the emergency room. Our officers responded to 8 traffic accidents, completed 6 accident reports, 1 hit and run, and the Georgia State Patrol responded to 1 due to injuries. Our officers performed 82 traffic stops and issued 10 citations. Officers completed 7 incident reports: theft by taking, battery, obstruction of an officer, domestic dispute, assist other agency, contempt of court, suspended license, failure to maintain lane, and domestic dispute. Officers attended a total of 80 hours for the month of April of training. And then Northeast Georgia took over the security as of May 6th of that day, of May. Municipal court paid receipts, fines, total $4,670. Our fire department activity was 88 calls for the month of April. The department completed a total of 154 hours of training, conducted 2 fire safety education events, and completed hydrant testing. Their biggest calls out of those 88 were public assistance was the majority, medic, and again, the total majority is all medic, not as opposed to fire and alarms and things of that sort. All right, into our financials here. Looking at our reconciled cash balances as of April 30th. Total general fund is $243,000, just using round numbers here. And our balance for July 4th of sponsorships totals $22,707 for total sponsorship. And I go down to the bottom of that page when I see our numbers of number of months of liquidity of cash that the city has. And we added a 12-month running total, and we have 2.49 months of liquidity of cash on hand, meaning that we can pay 2.49 months of our bills with just what we have today. And the stronger that number gets, the more sound we will be. So 3 to 6 months is a true benchmark. We're hitting right at it.
We really need to strive every month to improve that.
And from last month to this month, it needed to go from 2.48 to 2.49. So, and when I look at our numbers, we're pretty much in the last 12 running months, staying very consistent with that. So, cash is king, and cash is excellent to us to have this liquidity in what we're doing. I flipped a couple pages, our bonds, our debt, everything is in line, being paid monthly, and how we are with those. I went to about 2 pages past this, the budget and the actual of general funds. I start looking at our current months of year-to-date and monthly of our total revenues. We're in line where we are, our expenses. The SPLOST dollars are coming in at roughly $27,406 last for the month of April, and that's about where we're supposed to be for our totals that we're getting. And then 1 page over for our statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. Again, I've got totals for year-to-date and for the month, and then I start doing the math and dividing these, saying, hey, what are we hitting, for the revenues, and we're on budget for what we're supposed to be doing. Same thing with the expenses. We're actually ahead in some of those and what we've got from our water and sewer department. When you look at the water and sewer fund budget and actual, we're budgeted to be at $541,000 round number at this point in time, and we're at $546,000. So basically, we're $5,000 ahead in there. And from the expenses, we should be at $448,000, and we're at $375,000. So we've combined his guys, and we've done a nice job on that. When I get into the SPLOST review, I know we talked about part of this in the work session there. For water and sewer, out of SPLOST 6, we've got $201,000 and $643,000. And then we got to take out of that $483,000 for what we just approved for the low bid for the sewer on Hazel Creek. And so, and then we've got $100,000 on the road, streets, and bridges in 6, and $180,000. And that will get into when we do the roundabout type work. And so, SPLOST dollars are in great shape. In there, we had $90,000 for public facilities, which we're counting that as part of the fund for the park renovations and the restrooms. We've got out of that $90,000, roughly $83,000 as part of that project, plus $175,000 out of the general fund. And to update y'all on that, we've got a park committee, so everybody will hear that tomorrow. I've got pretty much done 95% with my budget being updated, and we'll have all those numbers tomorrow. And if everything goes as planned, we should be able to start the footings next week. And we passed the roll testing of the compactions today. And once they do the footings, they'll come back in the footings. We had to bring in roughly 65 loads of dirt. The site is 100% finished. Corners are staked. And every 4 inches, Brian's guys had to compact that out of all that dirt. So they loved what they saw today from the engineering firm of doing that test today, because we had to fully load up the tandem dump truck, and it rolls, and they're looking to see if there's any sponge moving in that dirt foundation. Because if it's spongy, it's not compacted. Pass it all. So that's awesome. A good start there. So I would say that unless y'all have questions, I think that's enough for me today.
I don't think anybody's gonna argue.
Megan's probably gonna tell me about it later, though.
All right, moving on to appearance and public comments. Do we have anybody want to speak here today?
I just have one quick thing, and this could really be handled by me going to City Hall, but I just wanted to find out, what is the procedure for getting a home plan approved in the historic district of Demorest. We are moving forward and working, trying to get the right builder and all that sort of good stuff. But we are looking at plans, and before I get my heart set on one plan, I wanna make sure that I'm complying with the historic district. So is there a policy or procedure in place, and what is it?
Mark, that's in the codes, you can pull those and print those for us
Yes.
tomorrow.
Yes.
You'll get with Mark, I'll make sure I'll follow up. and
Okay.
Make sure you got it all.
No glass houses.
So, we'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Discuss potential acquisition of property.
Anything else?
No.
We'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session for property acquisition.
Second. Very good. All those in favor?
Get up and walk.
Who likes to bite?